Up, guys? Spring's close. That means baseball's right around the corner and the regular season's starting at the end of March. And we're here to tell you a little bit about the content RunPureSports.com is going to be offering to our premium members. DC, we got a lot going on.
Absolutely. Baseball coming up. We're going to have everything you need here at Run Pure Sports. As you mentioned, webcasts, articles, core plays, statistical analysis, projections, all of it up on RunPureSports.com.
Come for the amazing plays. Listen to JT Hayes botch every single name. It's so much fun. Our team's been on a major heater in the NBA. We're going to carry on this momentum to the MLB season. Get on board right now. Sign up for a premium membership to RunPureSports.com. It's only $80 a month. $80 a month. Monthly access to our premium MLB content. All the other sports, golf, MMA. It's not just baseball during the summer, people. We got a lot going on. NBA still going on once baseball starts. For an extra $20 a month, you get the bet side. I'm telling you, add it. Joey Workby, we're just killing it on the baseball side. He's perfect during the World Series. What are you waiting for? Sign up today. Start running pure.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. I'm your host, Mangone. I got Draftcheat. I got TitleTown. We got no Holden today, so we'll see if we can, keep this thing together for an hour. I know when he's normally here, it gets off the rails. We have not a lot of games. Hopefully we can make it an hour. We'll have to see. We'll do our best to kind of do our Holden impression and keep this thing moving. But we will kick it off with TitleTown. We'll go over to you first. How's it going over there? Are you pumped for baseball today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always transparent with the people. This is a gross slate. There's no other way around it. It's a 5-gamer. The pitching sucks. The hitting's just okay. But hey, baseball is baseball. There's still money to be made. So yeah, we'll dive into it. We'll talk, try and find some winners for you, but this isn't one to go 3x on your bankroll, and it's not a good slate. We're honest with the people. I assume DC and you agree as well, Travis.
Yep. It's definitely not the best slate, but I got some stuff I like where I can get a little excited. I need DC to really dress up the pitching for me. Like, I am not loving where to go at pitching, and I can't figure out exactly where I want to go yet at pitching. I'm on the cash chart today. I'm still trying to figure out what's the right move there for that. DC, we have you for the pitching, right? You are the guy. You've been absolutely crushing that. You've been crushing all the minor league players and everything. So it's been a good year for the Run Pure Sports subscribers. How are you doing? And do you actually like this MLB slate today?
Not really. I think Title kind of nailed it. Like there are certain slates where I'm really excited for that shit to get started, right? Like if I got like a cheapest play on the board, Kyle Gibson, I think he's going to go off, or like an Alex Cobb where I know nobody's going to have him except for Run Pure, and I think he's got a good chance to put up a huge score. And those happen, all the time, but I'm not going to force it, right? Like I don't like. When I recommend a play like that, that's going to be 3 or 5% owned, it's because I really believe in it. It's not just because, no one else is going to be on this. I'm just being contrarian to be contrarian. I don't do that. I really believe in those plays when I recommend them. And I search every baseball slate to try to find pitchers like that, or cheap pitchers that people are going to be on, or, even expensive pitchers that people aren't going to be on that I think have a chance to do really well. But I don't really see it here. 5 games, just most of these pitchers, it's hard to make a case for them. There's just not a lot of upside in any of them outside of the guys that I think most people are going to play. So whenever that's the case, of course, the potential edge is reduced. That said, everyone's dealing with the same slate, right? So sometimes you just got to try to make the best possible lineup and roll with it. You don't need to get cute. And I think this is one of those slates where maybe you let other people make the mistakes. You kind of roll out what seems like obvious plays to us, but it's not always the case, right? You'll see people make mistakes no matter what. So it seems like one of those kind of more or less straightforward slates to me. Not my favorite kind, but always down to talk baseball anyway.
All right. Well, Luce25 says he loves bad slates. That's when he usually does his best. So he is pumped for the show. Happy to have you here. Guys, please do hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. It's in the right-hand corner. Helps us out a ton. So just hit the like, hit the subscribe. It's right below TitleTown on the video. So look for that mustache thing he's got growing there. So just hit that subscribe on him. Title, who has the better mustache? You or Uncle T? I said there's no way Title's in this conversation. It's Uncle T. I mean, that man's had that mustache forever. But do you disagree? Do you want to defend yourself?
This isn't even called a mustache. I can't grow a mustache. It's just when it gets too long, I shave it and then it does its own thing. So come on. Uncle T's got a real one. That's as good as it gets. This is just, this is disappointing. I can't grow facial hair really. So you guys all know that. You guys call me 15 in the chat. So that's not news to you.
Yeah, I just making sure because some people were asking in the chat, and I said I can't let anyone say anything about Uncle T's stash. I mean, he may have had that stash longer than you've been born. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Probably, yeah. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, DC, what's your bet on this? Uncle T's stash is older, or is TitleTown older?
What are you? 23 years old?
Yeah, just turned 23.
You got it in the bio, having your age in the bio. That's a good one on Twitter there.
Hey, see, you knew it. Why'd you ask? You knew right away.
Well, it doesn't say I'm 23. It just says 23. I assume that's how old you were, but I didn't want to make any assumptions.
I don't know if you're like Holden and that's like your lady count. You just got it out there on Twitter.com.
Yeah, exactly. It could mean other things. Maybe you're a Michael Jordan fan. I don't know. I'm going Uncle T's stash here. I say he's had it longer. I'll take the over on 23 years for Uncle T's stash.
Uncle T is in the chat. So he said it's been a long time. He hates shaving. So Uncle T, if you could give us the number, right? 23. I'm on the over too, but we'll definitely have to see what he says in the chat there. Guys, also want to talk about Draftcheat has a podcast, right? He talks about baseball. He's got season-long stuff. He's got DFS stuff every single day. DC, tell the people a little bit about the podcast you do every day.
It's out Monday through Friday, talking baseball. We kind of go game by game. So obviously on this podcast, we go position by position. So you get a little bit of a different breakdown of the games. And it's also just, a little bit more free flowing, right? Free flowing. On this show, we kind of got to get about all the picks, all the plays, go position by position. The podcast, we kind of have opportunity to dive off into strategy talk if we want to, into, kind of players that maybe are not even playing the next day, but that I just see players to watch potentially down the road, season long stuff a little bit. It's mostly DFS based, obviously, but just kind of general baseball thoughts, DFS thoughts. I thought a good one with G Rising last night. And, these obviously for the most part, they're kind of focused on the next day's game. But, if you a day late, there'll still be nuggets in there that I think can help most players if you're interested in learning a little bit about DFS strategy, or even, kind of like the analytical stuff that I'm looking at, trying to break down pitchers each day. So a lot of good stuff in that pod. The listenership's certainly been growing steadily, especially since baseball started. So we're proud of that, and check it out. If you like this show, if you like what I've got to say, I think you'll enjoy that pod as well.
Yep. Subscribe to our podcast on, Apple, Google Play, First Look every day with Draftcheat and a guest. Also hit us with that 5-star review. Helps us out a ton. Also want to talk about the promotion we have going on here at runpuresports.com. If you sign up right now, use the monthly option. It's $80 a month. You use the code GETBETS. You're going to get the bets for free for an entire month. And that's typically an extra $20 add-on, which typically the bets is $60 a month, right? So you're getting a double discount there. You're getting it for free for a month. And then when kind of the month is over, you can just add it back on if you'd like for $20 more, or just kind of keep it the way you have it, just with the DFS. So that's the decision that you can make, but you get to get a little taste of the bet side. Title, you make some bets all the time, right? You're someone who's better. So tell people a little bit about why they should want to get on the bet side.
Yeah, I mean, I like to bet. I have a spot to bet, but I don't like betting myself because usually when I make my own bets, they're wrong. So I go over whenever I want action, go to Run Pure Bets, and the guys have been on fire. And Big T's been handing out winners on the Hardwood Show, plus 450, Wizards money line. Hoop won that day. I just got off a show with Spread earlier too. He does the NBA rundown at 1 p.m. Eastern every day, and with usually one of the other guys. And he has a very good breakdown on all the games, over, under, just very sharp betting. So instead of being like me, if you want to, it's hard to be a casual and beat the sports books. You need guys that just study it a lot, know the line, stuff like that. So definitely recommend checking it out. I bet on my own, I lose. I bet with them, I win. So I just look at theirs now.
Unless you're betting Draftcheat, right? I mean, DC's taken a couple bumps lately to the whole title, so we'll have to see if we can find some bets here for DC to make a comeback. Title. Also, I wanted to ask you: did you transfer your DC bucks to BigT last night? What was the bet you guys made in NBA?
No, I crushed BigT. It was Luke Kennard point per dollar and Terrence Mann point per dollar on FanDuel. I got 8x and he got 3.2 or something.
Yeah, Terrence Mann was definitely not kind to anyone who rostered him, and it was that Luke Kennard revenge that came through there, obviously.
I mean, BigT. He's running cold. I got him with Robert Williams over Moses Brown. I had him in a $2,000 head-to-head MMA thing like 2-3 weeks ago. BigT's running cold against Title, but everything else in his life's going better. So I would take that side of. I'd take the milli and lose the title.
That's good. You're making a slow dent into that milli. We'll grind it away. We'll grind it away slowly but surely.
I need a lot of help.
Grind it out on BigT. That's
you need to get BigT on some baseball shows. I need some of those dudes.
Playoffs are coming up for NBA, and last year I put a little dent in him on a bet. So and the Nuggets, he still might live and die with them, right? Even though Murray went down, I might be able to weasel my way into a bet.
He won't care. He'll bet the Nuggets for sure.
Yeah, like I might be able to get like Suns and Nuggets in rounds.
Yes,
just like
Suns.
just dust him off with the Suns.
I'm with you.
That's definitely what I'm looking at. I've been already eyeing it up after last year, taking the Blazers as the 8 seed to take down the Lakers. I mean, again, it was like a plus 400, but hey, when people are offering free money, I mean, I'm just going to take it. So that'll wrap up all the shenanigans and all the stuff starting off the show. Let's kind of dive into the MLB slate. We've obviously been trying to avoid it because, hey, this MLB slate is gross, but we will talk about it. And let's go to DC first because pitching is a disaster. And man, my quick lean is like Corbin or Rich Hill, but DC, is that the move here on this slate? Do you also want to eat chalk pitchers today? Because man, like this is a gross slate, and that's something to talk about in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the main reason why I don't really like this slate is because the only pitchers that I do like, I think, are going to be super chalky. You mentioned Rich Hill and Corbin. I definitely lean Rich Hill among those two. He is $1,200 more on DraftKings. I hope I saw a title smirk there. I hope he's on the other side of this one.
I was laughing at someone in chat said, please stop advertising and discuss the plays. Like, how that, I mean, it's a free show, first of all. It's a 5-game slate. Like, there's plenty of time. I mean, that comment just.
You're also on the internet. There's tons of things to do out there. So
yeah. Like we have an hour to fill, so we're gonna do our best. We'll do everything that we can, but we're gonna talk about ourselves a little bit, Jen. So if you don't like it, go somewhere else. How's that sound? So, Steve Anthony says neutral in the chat. We'll see how long Jen lasts. We'll give her a chance though. We want to accept it, Jen. That's your first strike for the day.
It wasn't for that though, DC. It was that comment.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, Rich Hill, my number. Well, I guess Julio Urias might be my number one. You know, the 3 lefties at the top, actually 4 lefties at the top. Urias, Rich Hill, Corbin, Sean Manaea. I think those guys are going to be the 4 most popular pitchers. It's hard to argue otherwise. I have Rich Hill, I think, is my favorite, especially if you're saying points per dollar. I'll take him just barely over Julio Urias. Rich Hill, you know, he's been, for the most part, really, really effective when he's been healthy over the last, I mean, I don't know, decade, basically. I don't know how far he goes back, but he's super old. He can never last long. He'll get hurt eventually, but he's healthy right now. He looks good. His velocity is the same as it's always been. He's got that monster curveball that he throws half his pitches. That's looked sharp. You look at his last outing against the Yankees. Yeah, he did give up 4 earned runs over 6 innings, but the more important thing by far when trying to predict what he's going to do going forward is that 7 strikeout to 0 walk ratio. You know, he's at home here in Tampa, great pitchers park, and he gets this Rangers team, which is just awful. And, you know, any good bats that the Rangers do have swinging from the left side, guys like David Dahl, Nate Lowe, Joey Gallo. I mean, Gallo is really the only one of those 3 that I actually think is a good long-term bat. So yeah, I like Rich Hill's chances for success here. You know, you're probably not going to get, I don't know, if you got 90 pitches, I think that would be, you know, pretty great out of him. Might be less than that, but it's just that type of slate where there's just not much to choose from. So I do like Rich Hill. I think him and Julio Urias for the Dodgers, combining those 2 is good. And Patrick Corbin, I probably won't play him. I get why you would. He's been good over the years, but really faltered last year. Had a rough spring, is developing a new pitch, but didn't work in that first start against the Dodgers, which you do understand it is the Dodgers, but I don't have a ton of faith in Corbin. I get it. You do like the matchup to some extent against Arizona, but I have a lot more faith in Hill and Urias than I do in Patrick Corbin.
Yep, Urias definitely has a really nice total against them, right? I mean, there's the Rockies are not going to put up a ton of runs. Do you worry about the pitch count or like the innings on him, DC? Because that's the one thing I've been going back and forth on.
Yeah, I mean, he threw 95 pitches his last start, and the start before that, only 79 pitches, but he got through 7 innings, right? So, then obviously the Dodgers have a really good bullpen, so they probably just pulled him, even though they didn't need to. So no, I'm not really worried about that with Urias. I just don't actually think he's like as good probably as the public does, but I almost feel not forced into playing him, but I just don't know really where else to go. So. Cash games, I think certainly in my eyes, it's Rich Hill and Urias, and you figure out the bats. Tournaments, maybe you can look elsewhere, but I think both those guys definitely project for the highest raw fantasy production on the slate.
All right, well, if we're talking cash games, let's talk to TitleTown. What do we got here with pitching? It's a really tough slate to figure out. FanDuel, you only need 1 pitcher, but DraftKings, you need 2, which makes it way more difficult. What are you doing here with the pitching?
Yeah, so I agree with DC in the fact of it's the 4 lefties up top that is going to be my pitcher pool: Urias, Corbin, Mania, Rich Hill. But I'm actually going to throw out Urias, I think, in most lineups due to the fact that he's 10-1 on DraftKings. He's 9-6 on FanDuel. And we do have some bats like Juan Soto, Corey Seager, Betts. There are top tier bats that are in okay spots that I'd rather go up to when I think this is just like, I don't love any of these pitchers or feel really good conviction with them. So I'm just going to take my savings and go to Sean Manaea at 7.4K, Corbin at 7.8K. I actually like those 2 a little more than Rich Hill. I'm still going to have a lot of Rich Hill. I'm just going to play 3 pitchers and mix them all in. But point per dollar wise, and with the price discount, I'm just going to play Manaea and Corbin, I think, in more lineups. Like I said, still plenty of Rich Hill. This isn't like I'm not going to bet DC Manaea against Rich Hill. Like, this slate is like, these pitchers aren't fun. I do feel good throwing out everybody else that we haven't mentioned outside the top 4. And then Urias is just more so his price tag. I want bats, and it'll just get me more leverage, more condensed player pool on a 5-game slate. So that's how I'm looking at it. I'll rank them: Manaea, Corbin, Rich Hill, but those all 3, you can go either way, get exposure to all of them.
Yep, agree. I think my current lean is Hill maybe being my favorite if I have to pick. Jen won't like this, but we have someone in the chat. They said Rich Hill was drafted in 1999. Where were you in life in 1999? I wish I had Holden on the show right now because he's older. I wish I knew that answer. Title, when were you born? Were you even born yet? What do we got?
He was like a year old, right?
1998. DC, you're good at math.
Yeah.
There you go. So right there, my answer was I was probably eating Dunkaroos on a playground, right? Like 9 years old, maybe. I don't know. That's 3rd grade. That could add up and make some sense. DC, what were you doing at the in 1999?
Slamming beers.
not quite yet. I think I was would have been like 14. So yeah, not quite yet.
I don't know. Maybe you're just hitting that early bench. Who knows? I don't know if 14 is when you started, DC, but never know there. Yeah,
the solo bench. Yes.
Yeah. The solo bench. There you go. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. Someone saying about Rich Hill in 1999. That was crazy to think. And now I need to know where Holden was in 1999. So if you're listening, Holden, tell us in the chat. Probably was, living those glory days in Washington that he always talks about, right?
He'll say he was on the bench, guaranteed, but I don't. Well, yeah, probably covering some sports or something.
Yeah, he'll talk about the glory days in Washington. That's what he'll be talking about for sure. But DC, I don't even think we've talked about this pitcher yet. Maybe I missed it. There's one guy that I kind of considered.
I got one more guy too, so go ahead.
I was gonna mention. I think Eunice could make some sense because the Blue Jays they have a lot of righties, right? And I'm trying to dress this slate up and look for a tournament option. And they have guys that can swing and miss, right? So of course I am scared of some guys in that lineup, but I think there's upside for strikeouts. Now, of course, there's downside as well. But what do you think of Eunice here in this spot for tournaments, DC?
If you're going all the way down there, I think he is the best option. Toronto, though, very good lineup. These guys are locked in right now. Guys like Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero, just like I've played some pitchers against Toronto, and these guys come up and they just really, really tough outs. They have good at bats every time. They kind of feed off each other a little bit. So I don't think he's the craziest play. He is much better against righties. Like you mentioned, Toronto, a very right-handed dominant lineup. Eunice at home here. He does have a new pitch this year. He's got a new cutter that I think could potentially help him. but I don't know. I feel it's a little bit thin. The guy that I like a little bit more than Junis, if you're trying to get away from the chalk, is Jordan Lyles, who I think is an okay pitcher. He had a really rough 2020, but he looks like he's bouncing back to some degree. And man, I just like rostering pitchers against this Tampa team. Gibson was solid. We saw yesterday, Uehara had a good game against them, and I think Lyles is definitely a better pitcher than Uehara is. I mean, they don't even have their all-star titles favorite player, Yoshi Sasugo, in the lineup, so they got to downgrade there. There's like nobody in that lineup that I fear right now. Even their good hitters, Meadows and Rosarina Lowe, they're just not hitting. So yeah, Lyle's the guy that I might go to in GPPs if I'm looking to get different.
Yeah, and Joey Work is correct me saying it's a J. I mean, Joey, I can read it's a J. I don't know. Sometimes I think, isn't it like a silent J? I'm not sure. Some of these guys have
the K throws you off. It's like, what kind of name is it? It's like, why did you spell Jacob wrong? And then you would think maybe it's Jakob.
Yeah, it could be Jakob Eunice. Like I don't know. And again, like I talk to JT sometimes, and JT has told me it's Eunice. So we're gonna go with that because he knows all the parents.
If you spell your name wrong, right? Jacob, it's spelled one way. My middle name's Jacob. You spell it the normal way. You throw a K in the first name, then we're gonna pronounce it however we want. That's on you.
Yeah, that's true.
Spell your name normally, and we'll pronounce it normally.
We're expecting it to be weird going there. What do you think of Mr. Eunice? What do you think of him? Title as an interesting term and option.
I'd rather go and play Scooball. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. Tyreek, how is it, DC?
Scooble.
Tariq
Scooble. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about him, but his strikeout stuff seems better than Jacob Junis. Toronto is just more so. I'm not picking on Toronto right now. They looked like they're locked in. Bo Bichette he's feeling himself. I'd rather pick on Oakland, I guess. They strike out more. Scooball has some strikeout upside, but I'm just not going anywhere in the lower tier. But I'd rather him than Junis if going down there.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of Jakobs, right? Like Jakob Podol, right? Except it's Podol.
Yeah, maybe that
makes no sense. It's absolutely the stupidest thing you could think of with a name pronunciation, right, DC?
Yeah, it's not our fault. I'm trying to look up the pronunciation guide here. Usually like Baseball Reference has it, but I don't see it for some reason.
Well, that's because they don't even know. No one knows how to say the name, and no one knows what to do with these pitchers. Title, give your ranking again on pitchers for the people if they're just tuning in.
I'm going to go point per dollar, just how I like it on the slate. It's close, but Manaea, Corbin, Rich Hill, I'll say it in that order. That's only three I'm going to play. I don't feel comfortable with that though. Like but it's Manaea. And because I like getting upper tier bats with the savings of Manaea and Corbin, then you get with Rich Hill since he is over 1,000 more.
All right, DC, give me your ranking on pitchers. Give me three of them, and then we'll head on over to the hitters.
Yeah, Rich Hill kind of number one with the bullet for me in terms of fantasy points per dollar. I would probably go Urias next, third Manaea, then Lyles, then Corbin.
Yep. Again, rough pitching slate, but hey, yes. We'll figure it out as the slates go on. And sometimes you're gonna have bad pitchers. You're just gonna have some really rough ones, and sometimes you want to play the ownership game. You can do that, or you can just eat the chalk and then get different other spots. You just got to make a decision on how you want to handle this slate. Let's go on over and talk about some of the catchers. And typically catcher is a great position to punt, right, DC? It seems like the spot, but hey, we got Will Smith that could be in the lineup here at that 4.8K price tag. We got Salvador Perez, who is a pretty good hitting catcher. I like Sean Murphy a little bit at that 3.7 price tag. That's the guy that I might key in on because I like the A's a little bit when it comes to like a stack or for tournaments. How about you? How are you handling the catcher position?
This is actually a pretty good slate for catchers, honestly. So Will Smith, the number one guy for me, I talk about him a lot. I think he is like a legit stud hitter, not just that catcher overall. He's one of those guys on FanDuel where you don't have to play catcher. I have no problem playing Will Smith on this slate. So he's my number one, but Sean Murphy, I think, is a solid option if you need a little bit of savings. And then Wilson Ramos has been on fire this year. He's crushed lefties over the course of his career. He gets Sean Manaea, decent option there at 4,100. And then especially if you think Patrick Corbin is going to be chalky, and I think he probably will be, at least to some degree, I like Carson Kelly, another guy that's a pretty good hitter overall and a really, really good hitter against left-handed pitching over the course of his young career. He's crushing it right now. 429 average, 1200 OPS. Obviously, early on, those aren't the most advanced statistics, but he looks good. So Carson Kelly, I think another good option. And, I'm probably going to spend at catcher today. I didn't even mention Salvador Perez. I think it's going to be Tanner Roark starting for Toronto. There's some question if it's actually going to be him. Whoever it is, it's not going to be anybody good. So Salvador Perez, another catcher off to a hot start. I actually like this position quite a bit today.
Yep, catcher is definitely strong today. We got some people in the chat. We got Ronnie Ryland saying, hit the like button, guys. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. We got 300 watching, only 84 likes. So if we can get some, get some good mojo going, we'll give away some swag. We'll make a decision at the end of the show. We'll decide basically on picking someone randomly in the chat who we like that has a funny comment or is respectful, all those things. That
we're no longer allowed to do that, man. You got to get with the program. I know you're not the normal host, but YouTube's coming after us.
I thought we can do it, but we can't pick a number. We just gotta make a decision if we just want to, right? Something we just give it away for free, right? I don't know. Maybe that's not
perhaps. I'm just trying to be a company man. Look out for the brand over here.
All right.
I don't want anyone getting banned.
Fair enough. We'll have to see. Maybe at the end I'll ask someone to DM me for some item. Maybe we'll have to see. But Title, let's go talk about the catchers. Are you paying up? Are you paying down? Because in cash games, typically, I think paying down at catcher is the move, but we have a lot more salary, it feels like, possibly on this slate. What do you want to do with this position here in cash?
Yeah, like I said, I like Burns and Manaea as my two favorite pitchers because there's really good top tier bats, and catcher, usually a pump position. Talking too much hoops.
You're seeing that C there. I get it, man.
Yeah, too much hoops, mixing every other day. But Sal Perez and Will Smith are the top two catchers by far. Just play one of the two, move on. I don't think there's any need to punt today. And I'm fine with playing either of them on FanDuel too. Heck, you can even play both of them, util and catcher first base. That'll be very contrarian, and you're actually getting two good hitters just because people don't usually play two catchers. So they're very good bats. Even if they weren't catcher eligible, they're good bats at any position today. Two good hitters, pay for one of them.
I like that, the double catcher on FanDuel. That's
nice tonight.
Right. Yeah.
I do love doing the double catcher on FanDuel. I even love doing it when it's like you can do it with the White Sox, right? You can do it with Mercedes and Grandal, right? I mean, you could really get crazy and do it for two.
You slob over that team more than I've seen anyone slob over any professional act.
There are other teams that play in baseball.
No, there's no other team that plays baseball but the White Sox.
And they are crushing too. Like you are on. I mean, they're really good, but man, you do slobber over them. I gotta say that.
I will say, Title, if there was an ATM machine that you could just walk to and just, print money out of, wouldn't you just slobber over it?
That's the Dodgers are the real ATM machine. The White Sox have been amazing too, though.
Yeah. I will say I've looked ahead at some schedules, and I just want to play White Sox slates when there's a lefty out there and like there's 15 games. That's where I want to be in. But I definitely, we can't talk about them. They're not on this slate. So, but catcher, definitely a strong position today. Do you think you want to kind of spend up more at the catcher position? DC, what did you think of Sean Murphy? Is the catcher position too deep, or because that's the guy that I was kind of looking at that I thought could be an interesting option that has some power there?
Yeah, I think he's a good long-term hitter, off to a slow start this year for sure. But again, it's very, very early on. Yeah, I have no problem at all with Sean Murphy. I do prefer Ramos, Will Smith in particular, and Carson Kelly. But yeah, if you need it, I think you can kind of fill out catcher last if you want to, because, there are those 4 or 5 good options, kind of see who fits. But yeah, no problem with Sean Murphy. I just prefer to spend up a little bit more if I can on my own lineups.
Yep. And we got Joey Work in the chat. He asked, can I give out a free play because Holden's not here? And I said, of course. Anything Holden doesn't want, let's do the opposite. So he gave out Oakland A's first 5 minus 0.5. That's his free play of the day. Okay. So when I get off the show, I'm going to hit that bet. I do like the A's today too. So definitely going to hit that. So if you want a free bet, jump on in, hit Joey Works bet. And if that hits, then come sign up for Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets, right? Use the code GETBETS. You'll get the DFS side for $80 a month. And then you get the free add-on of the bet side for an entire month where you can get all of Joey Works picks. Does a lot of MMA stuff. We have a lot of free content over on our Run Pure Bets channel as well. Let's dive in. Let's talk about the first base position now, because first base is typically a spot where you can get some pretty good bats in there, right? And tonight we still got some guys. We got some of the Dodgers, right? We got Max Muncy if he's in the lineup, even though it's a lefty, could be an option. Josh Bell, who's been off to a pretty decent start here. You have those Blue Jays, right? If you want to attack Mr. Junis, you got Vlad Guerrero, you got Tellez. You have a bunch of different options here, DC. What are you doing at the first base position?
Yeah, this might be one where I try to spend down, assuming Josh Bell is in the lineup. Yeah, hitting third, 3,600 on DraftKings. He missed, those first couple weeks with the COVID scare. Or I don't even know if he had it for sure, but he's been back. Slow start for him, but I do think he's going to have a pretty good year. And I do like targeting Merrill Kelly for sure. So 3,600 for Josh Bell, probably my go-to third baseman today. If you're spending up, though, I do think I think it might be a contrarian position to spend up. I think people might shy away from Max Muncy versus a lefty, but I'm not scared of that. Gomber doesn't really seem to have many splits to speak of. And Muncy, one of the better lefty versus lefty hitters in the entire league. So he's been on fire. I think he's a good contrarian spend at the position. Talked about Vladimir Guerrero already. I think he can hit anybody right now and certainly not going to be scared off of Mr. JJ Junis there. And then Carlos Santana, I think, especially if Tanner Roark does end up starting, which I guess right now kind of looks like he will. I think he's a good option too. So a few options, not a ton I like, kind of down in the savings bin, but I think a decent spend up position here.
All right, Title, how about you? What do you want to do with the first base position? I think Josh Bell is going to be someone that people go to a bit here. Is he your option, or are you looking at another first baseman?
Yeah, Josh Bell's the clear chalk, best play in cash on DraftKings. He's only 3.6K in the 3-hole against Kelly, who doesn't strike. We're not scared of, doesn't strike out anyone. He's not very good. So Josh Bell for sure. In tournaments, I agree. Paying up is definitely the contrarian on DraftKings. And Vlad Jr. is my favorite spend up at 5.1K at the position. If you're a punching pitcher like I am, you'll have the money to do it. Maybe you'll just have to drop down at one other position. It'll make your build unique. And Vlad Jr., I like Toronto today. I like him in the middle of the order, tons of power. So he's my favorite tournament spend up. On FanDuel, Max Muncy's only 3.2K at first. Josh Bell's 3.4K. Like, that's just dumb pricing. Fine lefty with Max Muncy in this order. He's a very strong play over there. And then the Will Smith and Perez catcher first base. Definitely like them at that position as well.
What does Muncy have to do to get rid of his 3.2K price tag on has he moved the whole year? I think he might have been 3.2K every single slate. Like, I can't.
Coors, he might have been 3.4, 3.5, and then once he left there, I think it's been 3. It's dumb.
I
play him every day. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, FanDuel doesn't ever change their salary, so it makes no sense. But hey, if they want to give us Max Muncy, we can take it there.
Yeah.
So he's at that price tag. And do you think people don't play him as much because it's against a lefty? DC, like, what have you noticed with that there with Muncy within the Dodgers stack? Is that a way to get contrarian?
I think so for sure. I think lefty will hold his ownership down. He's never that high owned anyway. Especially on DraftKings at least. I think people. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course he is on FanDuel, but I think people kind of see his like FanDuel price and then they'll be like, well, he's 2K more on DraftKings. I don't want to, it's too much. It's just like, well, no, it's not. The dude's been crushing all year long. He had a kind of a bad year in 2020. So I think people just have for whatever reason, a little bit of a negative connotation. He seems like he's like, like the third, fourth, fifth priority on his own team even. So that can hold his ownership down. So yeah, I really like him as a contrarian play on DK tonight.
All right, let's head on over and talk about the second base position where Muncy does have some eligibility for that. But let's talk about Mr. Brandon Lau. He was chalk yesterday, had him on the cash chart. He was one of those guys that was locked in there. And hey, he hit that bomb at the end of the game where the chalk just came in out of nowhere. DC, are we going back to Mr. Brandon Lau or are we going to another option?
I think you can, right? Obviously the matchup with Jordan Lyles is fine. I haven't liked what I've seen from Lowe so far this year. So I probably won't be going there myself at 4,500, but I do certainly get the play. I definitely prefer Chris Taylor out in Los Angeles over him. You can get $300 savings there. He's been on fire. Another guy that really hits lefties well over the course of his career. And then my last guy is Jed Lowry. kind of back from the dead here for the A's. He was on the Mets for the last couple of years, barely played with injuries, switch hitter, and looks really, really good these last few games. I assume he'll be right in the middle of that A's lineup once again. I like the A's stack. Skubal has talent, but he's just super wild and could just completely lose it at any time and give up a huge inning. So, yeah, Jed Lowry, I think another good option at 3,600 on DraftKings.
All right, Title, how about you? Second base, Jed Lowry is there, part of the A's. You got Lowe, however you want to call him. What are you doing there with the second base position?
Brandon Lowe is my clear top guy. Love the matchup against Jordan Lyles, heart of the order, just homered yesterday. So he's my favorite for sure. If I'm tournament pivoting anywhere, Eduardo Escobar, 4.1K on DraftKings against Patrick Corbin, who you think is going to have pretty high ownership. He's in the 3-hole, offers you nice leverage. People just don't like playing a hitter against their pitcher. It's a 5-game slate. Even if you do play Patrick Corbin, you can play one hitter against him. I mean, Patrick Corbin, we're not expecting a seven inning shutout, 10 strikeout performance. So I think Eduardo Escobar in tournaments is a good play, but Brandon Lowe is definitely my favorite play.
Yep, agree on that one. Let's head on over and let's talk about the third base position then. And, you talked about the Dodgers, DC, right? They're just a free ATM every day. We get Justin Turner here against the lefty. Is Justin Turner the guy that you're going to be getting at that position?
He's got to be. He's a priority play to me. I'll do what I need to get him into the lineup. Just absolutely locked in to start the year. I started to think we're seeing. I've always been a huge Justin Turner fan, but I'm starting to think we're seeing another level from him, which is a weird thing to say for a guy in his mid-30s. But he lost a bunch of weight in the offseason. His contract was up. He came in super good shape, and man, every single at bat, you like even his outs are like, line drives the opposite way that the right fielder will catch, stuff like that. And he's crushed lefties over the course of his career. 5,500 on DK, obviously very expensive. I think he's pretty expensive on FanDuel as well, but I think he's my number one hitter on this slate. I think I would maybe even take him over a guy like Mookie Betts, just straight up. So Justin Turner, he'll be in my lineups. No question about it.
All right, Title, you got Justin Turner there, who seems like a lock from DC. You also have Matt Chapman, who gets a nice lefty, right? And on FanDuel, why not both? You can just plug both of them in there and then just get 2 home runs. Is that the move there over on FanDuel? And are those your two third basemen that you're looking at today?
So I think third base is a little deeper than DC does. Justin Turner for sure. If you have the money, he's expensive on both sites. The sites did it right. If you can get him, I like him. He's not going to be my first person in my lineups. Like in cash games, I'm going to plug in Brandon Lowe for the price tag more than I would automatically lock Turner. And that's partly because there's other options at third. Matt Chapman, as you mentioned, against the lefty, tons of power. We know what he can do. 4-3 on DraftKings, 3-2 on FanDuel. He's too cheap. Kevin Biggio is a good price tag on both sites too against Junis that we're not scared of at all. I like Toronto and Oakland, so those two fit really well. Justin Turner, yes, if you can get him, definitely get him. And then if you want a cheap guy, so I'm giving you different tiers for all of them. Justin Turner up top, Matt Chapman and Biggio in the second or in the 4Ks, and then Yandy Diaz is only 3.3K in the 4-hole against Lyles. So, and I like Tampa too. I think there's a lot of options at third. You can play him 2 third baseman in FanDuel too, since the position is so stacked.
You gotta stop playing these bum ass Rays, man. They never do anything.
He's 3.3K, but yeah, today's not the slate you really need to go all the way. I mean, Diaz, he got me? I played him yesterday on FanDuel. I think he got me 9.2 or something. You take it for cheap.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm with
bad cleanup.
I'll play Yandy Diaz. I'll say that. I want to go to these other guys, but I get it. Like if it helps fill out your lineup and construction,
he's 2.2K cheaper than Justin Turner. I mean, that's a lot of cheese if you want to pay up for Corey Seager and Austin Meadows, whatever catcher and all that.
Yeah, but Turner's going to score infinitely. You can't divide by 0, right? You get Turner's 21 drafting points. You divide by 0. You get an error on the calculator. That's how much better Turner is.
DC, I thought by now you would have learned betting against Title is not a profitable
I'm not.
thing.
A couple of slates, man. We're talking about the long haul. We got a long season ahead.
Yeah, we do.
Do you have a bet here on Yandy Diaz versus Justin Turner, or is that
point per dollar?
No, I'm not taking that for hitters, but I mean, if I would be on Yanni's side, I'm not betting. I can't give away free
Can I
money.
can I get a Rich Hill point per dollar against whoever you want to take?
Man, this slate.
You can't rat hole my money. You got to give me action. Come
Well,
on.
yeah, but on this, like, I'm not just gonna give free money back. Like, it's
how many different bets I need to offer you before you take one?
On this slate, I don't know, man. If I do any, it would be Mania, but I'll think about it.
I mean, so some people in the chat say Title's scared. No one said it yet, but like,
yeah.
Let's pretend they're there.
That's what people are saying. People
Title likes money. He doesn't just give away money after he wins it. He makes people earn it.
All right. Well, we'll have to see if we can find something.
Got to get some action to get action, brother.
All right. Well, we got the first Freddie Galvis homer of the year just happened, which I'm sure Big T loves. That's one of his boys, so he just hit one out. But let's move on. Let's go and talk about the outfield position here. And in the outfield, DC, you mentioned Mookie Betts. You're like, I don't even want Mookie Betts. I'll take Justin Turner. Maybe Title could take Mookie against you.
You don't like shortstop?
Yeah, you just pulled a Holden and skipped the position.
You're right. I did. I skipped shortstop completely. My bad. I pulled a Holden. It's
where's
not
JSU when you need him?
Mistake like that. So that was just worked in. But let's go talk about shortstop first. I was excited to talk about Mookie Betts and try and book a bet with you guys, but we'll do that in about 5 minutes. Let's talk about Trey Turner. Let's talk about Corey Seager, two spend up options that are pricey. Can you get up to them because you're going to Yandy Diaz today, Title? What are you doing at shortstop?
Well, I'm getting up to him because I'm playing Mania and Corbin and that and punting pitcher. But yeah, how do you not pay up at shortstop? Corey Seager, Bo Bichette, Trey Turner, like those are three of the best shortstops in this game. Grab one of them. Don't punt this position. If I have to rank them, and man, it's really tough. I'm gonna go Seager, Bichette, Turner, I think, but I don't have a strong lean on that order at all. Just play one of the three. I love all the teams in the stacks too. Very good hitters. Don't pay down at shortstop.
All right, DC, I've heard you talk about not wanting to pay down at shortstop. I assume today is the same. What are you going to do here at the shortstop position?
Yeah, I actually agree with Title's ranking of those top three: Seager, Bichette, Turner, in that order. You do get a little bit of a discount with Bichette. I think I'd probably just take the discount. It's close between the three of them. But then, like, you go beyond those guys, and it just drops off in a hurry, right? There's really nobody down in the middle or even bottom tier that I'm all that interested. I mean, I don't even know who I would say. Nick Ahmed hitting fifth against Corbin. I guess if you're trying to get some leverage against a chalk pitcher, you could do that, but not a lot there. So I think you kind of got to pay up at least to some extent at shortstop.
Yep, definitely think paying up at shortstop makes sense on this slate. Some really good hitters up there. It's obviously not as stacked as normal with like, it typically has like a lot more better bats, right? And you also have like Corey Seager, like lefty. So you could make a case against that, but I do think you still want to get up there and get a shortstop. Good options that you can grab.
What shortstops do you want up there if you're not content with Trey Turner, Bo Bichette, and Corey Seager?
No, well, I mean, Lindor's a guy that you'd always love to play, but the matchups aren't the best. Like, do you want Corey Seager lefty? I mean, not typically, right? Like, it's not the greatest spots where you see like, oh, I have Tim Anderson against the lefty to bring my back in the mix, right? It's you look at the pitchers they're going against, and like it's just not as like sexy as spots. I don't know.
There's no 6'5" team totals and stuff like that, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm kind of getting at a little bit.
Mangone should only be allowed on the show when the White Sox are playing. is what it. Titles here for the Coors slates. We got Mangone on the White Sox, and whenever there's some shitty pitchers that I like for some reason, then I can come on and talk about them.
Yeah, I won't be here Sunday, but like I can just say it now. Martin Perez and the White Sox, just sign up now. Just sign up for the Sunday slate. Make sure you wake up. Drink Saturday night. Don't drink too much. You got to be up for lock. And
you know who's pitching on Sunday as well?
Who?
Kyle Gibson, baby. Oh yeah. White Sox. Kyle Gibson. Take it to the bank. RPS at the top of the leaderboards. It's going to be a good time. I can't wait till Sunday. I'm going to be taking it easy on Saturday night, just so I can pump in as many lineups as possible with your White Sox, my Kyle Gibson. It's gonna be a glorious Sunday.
DC, I'm hitting you on Twitter on Sunday. I'm hitting you with the GTA. Oh shit, here we go again, Gif. Kyle Gibson.
Oh yeah, I'll be back on board.
Oh man, Kyle Gibson on Sunday. It should be fun. Will be a good time. Title. Are you on Kyle Gibson train? RPS should be. I don't know if you know this, DC. we had a subscriber, Davey G. He won a live final seat with Kyle Gibson, and we got a cameo from Kyle Gibson for him. He did the cameo and everything, and it was awesome. So we might have to get you a cameo from
I didn't even know this, but yes, there would be nothing I would like more to get a cameo from Kyle Gibson. That would make my day. Yeah.
I will have
to
send it to you. Title, are you a big Kyle Gibson fan?
I play DFS. I don't play season long. I just whatever day on the slate. I didn't like Kyle Gibson last time out, and he actually pitched pretty well. I don't really fall in love with season players, season long, all that. If he's a good play on a slate, I play him. If I don't think he is, I pick against him. So, but hey,
he's a good play. He's a good play every slate. So there you go.
No, that's not true. But the cameo was really cool. Seems like a great guy. Sure, I like him as a person.
Great guy, great pitcher. What more could you ask for?
Yeah,
I'll have to bump that on Twitter so you can see it. DC, great guy, great pitcher, as DC says as well. And Title doesn't fall in love with players unless they don't have a jump shot and their name is Giannis. So there you go.
What about Tyrese Halliburton, Gavin Lux? I got my players.
That's true. You got your guys.
Select few.
Gavin Lux, you've been in love with since high school. It's like a nice little crush that you've had since then.
I mean, I played against the man. It's hard not to. He hit some homers. He's a good player.
All right, let's so now let's get to the outfielders, right? If you guys could, before we get the outfielders, hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. It helps us out a ton. We really would appreciate it. But let's talk outfielders. I want to talk about Mookie Betts. I want to talk about all these guys at the top. DC, how are you handling the outfield here?
I mean, the two guys right at the top stand out. Like, Title's talking about spending down a little bit of pitcher maybe, and I would assume these are kind of two guys that you're trying to get in there if you are. Juan Soto, Mookie Betts, both kind of get the platoon advantage, right? We're talking about shortstops that we might be spending on. Those guys all have to face, if they're right-handed hitters like Bichette, they got to face Jacob Junis. Corey Seager's got to face a lefty. Soto and Betts both get that platoon advantage against bad pitchers, two of the very, very best hitters in baseball. They're expensive, right? 6K for Soto, 5.9 for Betts. Worth every penny if you can fit them. The only thing is there are good cheap outfielders, unlike, the shortstop position where there's really nobody to spend on. There are guys in the low 3K range that you can play at outfield and feel pretty good about. So from that perspective, I get maybe spending down at outfield, but man, Soto, Betts, pretty tough fades tonight.
Yeah, no, definitely tough guys to fade here. Title, are you spending your money up here in the outfield, or are you going down to some other guys?
Juan Soto's my favorite hitter on this slate. Hard not to like him. I mean, he's going to probably hit a homer. Mookie Betts is right behind him, is my second favorite. But DC said it best. Like, there are good value. I mean, we have Benintendi, who I know he's not the best, but I like this matchup. 3,500 is way too cheap. Austin Meadows is 4,700. I love him in low as a mini stack. Probably they're going to be popular, but I really like these lefties in Tampa. Then we have, what about Soler? He's down there at 3,400, and that's just buying on the talent at that point. 3,400 is way too cheap for what he can do. Joey Gallo's 3,700. Like, I know it's lefty. We don't love the matchup as much, but another guy betting on the talent. He'll probably get 2 at bats against the bullpen. He can hit one out easily. It's just some of these prices are dumb. So if I'm going all the way up, I'm going Juan. I'm going Soto. I'm going Mookie. I like Austin Meadows in the high 4Ks. And then if I'm going down, Soler, Gallo, Benintendi. Outfield is absolutely loaded.
Yeah, I mean, there's more guys. Like the A's guys, Mark Canha, Ramon Laureano in that high 3K range are both excellent plays tonight. Tim LeCastro leading off against Corbin. I like that. So just tons of places to spend down at the outfield. Yeah, I even like Kyle Isbell a little bit, hitting 8th for the Royals. If you really need some savings, he's 2,500. So a lot of different ways you can go in the outfield, but it's tough because the top end is just so good tonight.
Kyle Schwarber's 3,300 on FanDuel. I like Washington bats, the lefties right there. Like, yeah, there's good. And this is why we come back and we're saying, like, I'm paying down at pitcher more. That's why I'm not playing Urias. I mean, I like these bats up top. So the more you talk about it, the more it gets me excited for the slate a little more than when I came on, not going to lie.
Yeah, I will say the more you guys talk about it too, I'm not as worried about my A's having much ownership because there are a lot of really good bats in the outfield. And like, I'm definitely going to stack up the A's in tournaments. And one guy I looked at, DC, And I think he's a really, really good play. I like Laureano a ton, so I was glad to hear you mention him. And one thing I kind of looked at is I saw Screwball, right? He walks a bunch of batters, right? He walks them like about 9-10% of the time. And a lot of the A's that are around Laureano, they walk a ton, right? Akana, he walks a bunch. Jed Lowry, Chapman, Laureano there, he doesn't walk a ton. Another guy, if he's in the lineup, I know he got hurt or he's banged up. I don't know if he'll be in the lineup today, was Matt Olson, right? Those two guys don't walk as much. So the thing I like about that, when you have a pitcher that throws like, a ton of balls and can walk guys, sometimes I like to take the guy that's not going to walk a ton that I know has some power and pop, because there's a big opportunity for him to crush the ball because he's typically not going to walk. So what do you think of that approach there? Because I think Laureano is a guy I'm really big on today.
Yeah, he's running wild this year on the base pass. 7 steals already, which is just nuts for this time of the year. I think he's on pace for like 110 steals or something. Scooble, I think you can run on you to give up 3 steals last year. Has already given up 1 in his start this year. And Laureano just seems like he just kind of doesn't care. He's just in one of those modes where he gets on base, he's going to steal. You mentioned he doesn't walk a lot, but if the pitcher's throwing it at your eyes every pitch, he can certainly walk, and I would expect him. Or I think there's a very good chance he'll try to steal if he does. And, you can rack up fantasy points in a hurry. You can get the second, third stolen bases, and you get home after a walk, and you got your ghetto home run there. 14 points on DraftKings for that. So, yeah, I love Laureano tonight.
Yeah, and I love the ghetto home run term, but I'm going to get a home run and I'm going to get a stolen base. So a peek at our home run segment there. Get Laureano.
We'll call it the poor man's home run. We don't want to get canceled here. Ghetto, that could be a cancelable term for old DC. I'm trying to stay on the streets here.
All right. So the poor man's home run. Title, what do you think of the poor man's home run? You like the chances for Laureano, and any other cheapies you want to talk about here?
Oh, I'll take any poor man's home run at any time. I mean, that's even better. Like, get some exercise. Yeah, poor man's home run's nice. Is he going to get one? I mean, it's hard for anyone to get one, but you like the A's a lot, and I don't think you should have to worry about ownership. I think ownership's going to be pretty spread out. They're going to pick off top bats like Soto, like Mookie, Seager, stuff like that. But I don't think ownership's going to be crazy on anyone. If you like a stack, go for it.
Yeah, and it gets talked about a little bit from Big T, right? He kind of talks about like correlation is like king, right? In DFS DC. So don't worry sometimes about leaving salary on the table. Sometimes we agonize over it and we struggle with it. So what do you want to say about that with some little strategy here on this kind of slate where we could have some extra salary?
I actually don't love it on this particular slate. Certainly you can do it in baseball, but the top end options are so good here. Like at shortstop, it would be hard to leave salary and not play a top shortstop. I think the same thing would go to outfield, right? Like I would want to upgrade to a Soto or Betts if I had salary. I don't really like the cheap pitching. So certainly, if you find a lineup you like, you don't need to like spend the extra $600 to upgrade your last outfield spot. But on this particular slate, I think most of my lineups will be pretty close to that full 50K cap.
All right, that'll wrap that up. Guys, please hit the like, hit the subscribe on the video. Also, want to talk about our partnership that we have over at SuperDraft. Use the code RUNPURE to get a match deposit bonus up to $100. You can use the core plays to build your teams out there. They got the multipliers on them as well. So it's a different way to play fantasy. You don't have to worry about the salary cap. Sometimes people don't want to deal with that. They think it's annoying. It's definitely a way to do it. And if you are playing at SuperDraft, if you do play Yandy Diaz, the multiplier will not work draft cheat, right? Because the multiplier, you can't multiply anything by 0, right? That just won't work.
Exactly. Yeah. A little math lesson for Title over there.
So that's what we'll do there with Yandy Diaz. Do not play him over at SuperDraft because you will probably just get a 0. The multiplier won't do anything. But let's talk about our stacks, our home runs, and then we'll get on out of here, guys. Anything else I'm missing there, DC? Stacks and home runs, is that it?
I think that's it. Yep.
All right. Well, last time we did this segment, DC, I gave
we need the plays of the day. We need the SO play of the day, the basement play of the day, and yeah, that's what. No, you're not Supercuts. That's JSU. What's your play of the day, man? Go.
I don't know. What
All right, we'll leave it at that.
It shifted a bunch. I have no idea what it's.
It sounds like you got something funny to say over there. Why don't you share it with the people?
Well, every time I'm on a show, it's always the dry hump play of the day.
Oh, Because Title didn't want to take it. Title wouldn't take the dry hump. So
it doesn't apply. I'll just say that.
So someone has to take it, DC. So I took it. By the way, the graphic you have, DC, incredible. Like have you seen your graphic yet, DC?
I don't think so, because I usually don't have the YouTube open during the show. Maybe
DC, open up the YouTube right now. Put yourself on mute so the volume. Your graphic is probably my favorite graphic. I thought it was amazing that Title or that Simon did.
Simon
so
cooked up there, yeah.
We'll do those last. Those will be at the end. So we'll start with our what is it? Stack. So who's your favorite stack? Mine is the Oakland A's, I would say today. If I have to pick one, you can throw the Dodgers in there as well, and the Nationals. Those are the three I'm picking, but A's are definitely my number one. TitleTown, how about you?
Yeah, I'll go Nationals, my favorite. I really like that 3 through 5 Soto, Turner, or 2 through 5 Turner, Soto, Bell, and Schwarber. Dodgers for sure at 2, and then the A's probably I guess I'll say Tampa. I like the lefties in Tampa because you guys all like the A's. I can't be the same.
DC.
Dodgers my clear number one here. I kind of sound like a broken record with them, but man, they're just so good. And this matchup, I'm not scared of Austin Gomber whatsoever. I like the A's too. I think Skubal, again, he does have talent, but I think more often than not, right now as a youngster, he's going to have bad outings where he just gives up a ton of base runners, walks and hits, and just guys all over the base paths. I think that's a good way for a stack to go off. We haven't mentioned that many Royals, but assuming it is Rourke that starts, I think he is just totally washed. I don't love like any individual Royal, so I kind of want to use them as a stack, right? But I think just Rourke's he's done. And so I'll take some of these talented hitters against him.
And they're cheap. I do like the Royals a lot. I didn't miss them. They're really cheap.
Especially if you're paying up for the 2 most expensive pitchers, which I kind of want to do. Royals are a good, cheap one to get in there.
All right. So I guess play of the days and home runs are the same thing, right? I mean, I don't think they're separate things. So if you're counting a home run, it's the play of the day. So
sure.
I'm just always used to saying home runs. But queued up for me. I've already said it, right? So Simon, put up the graphic. Here's the play of the day for me. I got Mr. Ramon Laureano. You will see him in my outfield. I'm definitely going to be playing him. We'll say he gets a home run and he steals a base, or he gets the poor man's home run, as DC says. I think he gets both, basically. So big game for Mr. Laureano. We'll go over to Titletown. Cue up the graphic for the SO play of the day.
I'm going to go with someone I think that's going to be very overlooked on DraftKings, and Kyle Schwarber. He's 4,600. People are going to play Meadows if they're in that price range, or they're going to go all the way down with the cheap value. I love Washington lefties today in this spot. I think Washington is my favorite stack of the day. So Kyle Schwarber, I mean, Soto's going to be owned. Turner's going to be owned. Schwarber is going to be very low owned on DraftKings. Kyle Schwarber, SO play of the day.
Yep. And before we get that DC's mom's basement play of the day, I'm going to say you guys disappointed me on the likes and subscribe. So no one can slide into my DMs and, ask me for something. You're going to
close your DMs tonight?
DMs are closed. No one's allowed in them. So yes, no one's sliding in for anything after the performance today on the likes and the subscribes. But we will still give out DC's mom's basement play of the day. My favorite graphic. I was dying when I saw this the other day. Hopefully you guys love it too. So DC, who is it? Give us the play of the day.
I'm truly going down into the basement for this one. We haven't mentioned him during the show yet. I personally think Patrick Corbin's kind of washed. I'm going with a guy I have literally not heard of until this very moment. Wyatt Matheson for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's 2,200. You can play him at first or third base on DraftKings. Gives you a little bit of savings there. Looking up his minor league stats, he's got some pop. Last time we saw him in the minors, 23 home runs in just 87 games, swinging from the right side. And I think Corbin's going to serve up a couple tonight. So I'm going Wyatt Matheson, the mom's basement play of the day.
Yeah, I don't know much about Wyatt Matheson, but
nobody does. That's why nobody's going to have him. We're going to be celebrating with our little 5% owned, 2,200 home run. It's going to be good.
If I told you Wyatt Matheson, if I said he was part of a country club, you would agree, right? 100% he was a country club kid, Titletown?
Yeah, that sounds about right. But hey, you gets those low owned. No one's going to play the guy. No one knows him. So I like it. I'll do some research on the man afterwards.
He will have more fantasy points at the third base position than Yandy
Diaz. I couldn't see that one coming.
That's the best way to end off the show. We got to get on out of here. We got Big T, we got Hoop, we got JT Hayes. We have them coming up for the final count, or not the final countdown. We have them coming up for the NBA Hardwood show. After them, you'll get on the premium side. You'll get JSU and Holden for the final countdown show. And we made it an hour, 58 minutes, close enough. Jen Williams, we had some fun. We also talked about the plays. We gave out the winners, but that's it for us. Join for the NBA show for me, Mangone, Titletown, and DC. See you guys later.
Good luck, everybody.